Okay, so in this video, we're gonna do the practice quarterfinal when it comes to number 6 in the applications. As you can tell, it's a really lengthy one because it's word problems, but as we'll digest, we'll kind of recognize what are some things to pick up. This is talking about a maintenance worker standing on top of a 50-foot tower. One tip I always like to do is I like to always underline and highlight things that seem pretty important. He looks up at the hotel that is 140 feet tall at an angle of 78 degrees. The question is asking for this: how far apart are the tower and the hotel? So obviously, when it comes to these kind of situations, it always helps to just draw it out. So if I had to do this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw the tower. If I'm looking at this first sentence, it says it's a 50-foot tower. So I'm gonna just draw the height like this and just write 50 feet. I can clearly draw the person on top of that 50-foot tower. And they said now it's looking up at the 140-foot hotel. So I'm going to draw the longer hotel, mark the height as 140 feet, and just them looking up. And you can kind of see that from our own model, we already have the right triangle. We can see it right here. And so from this, all we need to do is label one more thing: the angle of 78 degrees. Well, if you can clearly see here, the angle is always going to be on the bottom. So we're always just going to put it here. Well, that's cool and all, but the reason why this problem is a little bit harder than others is because of this. Yes, I have 78, but I don't know this length, nor I don't know this length. Well, the question is asking us how far apart are the towers. If it says how far apart the towers are, that's talking about the thing going from left to right. So we're going to call that x. So again, how far apart means from left to right. Well, I know what my unknown is. It's the bottom part, but I need to know my height. Well, if I look here, this says 50 feet, this says 140 feet. In order for me to find out the height, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract. So all I have to do is subtract 140 minus 50. 140 minus 50 is 90. So that's my height. I'm going to put 90 right here. And so all I have to do is just simply solve for x. How do you do that? Step 1, label the sides. This is a 90-degree triangle. X is next to 78, so we call that A. 90 is away, so that's O. And I have O, I have A. That makes tangent, that's TOA. So I'm going to say tangent of 78 equals 90 over x. Again, what you have to do, put a 1 on the bottom, cross multiply. Let's multiply. 1 times 90, that gives us 90. Then I have x times 78, tangent 78. So I'm just going to write that right here. And all I have to do now is get rid of that tangent 78. How do I do that? See its multiplication, opposite, division. So all I got to do is write tangent 78. When I do that to both sides, I get my final answer. So cancels out. And that leaves me with x equals, and I don't really know this on top of my head, so let me just grab a calculator. All we have to do is just divide 90 divided by tangent 78. So you should get the following, which is 19.13, and it always helps to just label the unit. 19.13 feet. And that is our final answer. It's a lot to understand at first, especially when it comes to digesting the word problem. Always underline, set up the scenario, and especially for this one, if you see two differing heights, subtract. You then find the missing side length, and we've been doing that through trigonometry. And that is the end of our video.